In the dimly lit corners of a bustling bar, amidst the clinking of glasses and murmurs of conversations, a story unfolds, a tale so potent and provocative it could only happen in the movies, or perhaps in real life. Jane, clad in a dazzling yellow dress, steps into the scene, her presence a brilliant flame attracting moths in the form of onlookers. Yet, her eyes search for only one, Damian, the man who's had her heart in a vice for years. This is not just another love story. This is a narrative steeped in desire, deception, and a determination that will lead to the unraveling of two hearts entwined by fate's cruel hands. Welcome to You Kissed Me First. Jane's entrance into the bar was nothing short of a spectacle, her yellow dress a bright contrast to the muted tones of the bar's interior. Her eyes scanned the room, a laser focus cutting through the haze of dim lighting and idle chatter. She was here for one reason: Damian. As she settled into a strategically chosen seat, her gaze finally found its mark. Damian, ever the charmer, was ensconced in a corner, his attention fully on a woman who was decidedly not Jane. Her heart clenched, but she steeled herself. Beside her, Kelvin nursed his drink, oblivious to the drama unfolding. His own heartache mirrored in the amber liquid of his glass. Little did he know, his night was about to intersect with Jane's in the most unexpected way. The sharp sting of betrayal sliced through the noise of the bar when Jane's eyes confirmed her worst fears. Damian, the man she had devoted her heart to, was visibly enamored with another. The laughter and intimate whispers shared between Damian and the unknown woman were like daggers to Jane's heart.
Jane, this is nothing.
Confronting Damian led to nothing but cold dismissals. His words were a slap, his demeanor dismissive, but every syllable etched deeper scars into her. As Damian returned to his companion, Jane's despair turned to a simmering rage. The realization that she was alone in her feelings was bitter, and it threatened to overwhelm her. In the throes of her anguish, Jane found an unexpected ally in Kelvin. Their shared experiences with heartbreak created a bond, a mutual understanding of the pain they endured. It was during one of their conversations that, in a spontaneous moment, they kissed. A kiss seen by Damian. Damian's reaction was unexpected. His face, usually so composed, was twisted in a mix of anger and confusion. He stormed off, his departure as tumultuous as the emotions swirling around the bar. Jane and Kelvin pulled apart, the reality of their actions settling like dust. What had begun as a moment of shared pain had escalated, and now they were in uncharted waters. S2. The next morning, Jane's mind replayed the events at the bar over and over. The kiss with Kelvin wasn't planned. It wasn't supposed to mean anything, but somehow it felt significant. She was torn between her lingering feelings for Damian and the unexpected connection with Kelvin. Kelvin, on his part, was introspective. The kiss had been a moment of weakness, or perhaps a moment of clarity. He was tired of being the one who got hurt. He needed to sort through his feelings, decide if this was just a rebound or something more profound. Both were at a crossroads, their next steps uncertain but crucial. Determined to resolve the lingering questions about her relationship with Damian, Jane sought him out. She needed closure, needed to understand why he could so easily dismiss what they had.
Move on, Jane.
His words were harsh, pushing her further away. That night, Jane cried not just for the end of her relationship, but for her own naivety. It was a painful but necessary end, one that allowed her to finally see her own worth. In the solitude of her apartment, Jane allowed herself to break down. The walls she had built, the poise she had maintained, all crumbled.
You're going to get through this.
Jane dialed Tara's number, her voice shaky as she recounted the night's events. I need to move on, Tara, she sobbed into the phone. Tara's words were a balm, soothing and wise. Plans were made, steps were outlined. Jane was down, but she was not out. This was not the end of her story, but a painful bend in her journey. With a new resolve, Jane returned to her professional life. Her job, her career, these were things within her control, and she clung to them. When she walked into the office that Monday, It was with a head held high. But life has a way of throwing curveballs.
Her first meeting was with none other than Kelvin. The professional setting was a stark contrast to their last encounter. The air was thick with unspoken words, the tension palpable.
Jane was determined not to let her personal life affect her professionalism. She was here to work, and work she would. As Jane and Kelvin sat across from each other in the conference room, the memories of their last encounter hung between them. It was hard to focus on the figures and projections when so much remained unresolved.
The meeting was a dance, each step measured, every word calculated.
Jane found herself struggling not to mix personal feelings with professional duties. Kelvin's presence was disruptive, yet somehow motivating. By the end of the meeting, Jane was exhausted but enlightened. She realized that Kelvin had an effect on her, one that she could not easily dismiss. Post-meeting, Jane reflected on her actions. She had been abrupt, perhaps unfair. An apology, she realized, was due. Pride was a tough pill to swallow, but swallow it she must.
She approached Kelvin later that day, her voice soft, her demeanor humble.
"I'm sorry," she said simply, her eyes not meeting his. A weekend party was the last place Jane wanted to be, but Tara insisted.
It'll be good for you, her friend had said.
Reluctantly, Jane agreed. The music was loud, the atmosphere lively, but Jane couldn't shake off her unease. Then she saw him, Kelvin. Their eyes met across the room, and the world seemed to pause. The evening progressed, and tensions escalated. A confrontation was inevitable. When it came, it was fierce, leaving both Kelvin and Jane shaken. Amid the chaos of the party, a game of truth or dare started. Jane found herself drawn in, a part of her eager to escape the night's earlier tensions. When it was her turn, the dare was simple. Kiss the person to your right or pay a penalty. The room held its breath. Jane hesitated, then stood, her decision made.